friends, I'm Amy, a health coach here at Flip Your Leaf, and today we're going to talk about protein. Now, there are a couple of reasons that protein plays such an essential role in our diet. First of all, just from a body perspective, it helps us build and repair our tissues, so that's like our muscle and our skin. It helps us maintain and repair our cells. It helps us build antibodies that support our immune system. And then from, just a diet perspective, when we're pairing proteins with things like carbohydrates, protein can slow down digestion, which means that, unlike when you eat a sugar by itself and it's quickly absorbed, sort of uptaken into the bloodstream, creates that sugar spike followed by that sugar crash where you're, craving sweets, you're craving caffeine, you might be craving a nap. By sort of pairing a protein with every snack and every meal, we're slowing down the absorption of that sugar. And so we're taking it up at a level that is, good for our body, giving us a nice clean boost of energy without really those spikes and crashes that can kind of derail us during the day. So one question I get a ton is, am I getting enough protein, or how do I make sure I'm getting enough protein? And I don't know where you're from, but here in Canada, this is a common misconception that I need to keep adding protein to my diet to be healthy. So just so you know, the average adult only needs 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. So for the average adult, 50 grams of protein is fine. And that means that we're normally, if you're following a standard Western diet, many of us are far exceeding the amount of protein that we need to keep our bodies healthy. So if you're looking into protein supplements, or you're looking into like protein bars or ways to incorporate more protein into your diet from just a health perspective, I would really encourage you to, run it through a program like MyFitnessPal, or contact a nutritionist or a dietitian or even a health coach like me, and figure out how much protein you're actually eating, and if you even need to be supplementing something like that. And if you are supplementing, is there a way that we can do that, with whole foods? Because here in my coaching practice, we use a food first approach, and that means if there is a food that you tolerate well, that can give you sort of the same impact as a supplement, I always want you to do that first, because we don't eat food by itself, right? Food always comes in a packaging. They're meant to be digested together. And so instead of, taking a protein supplement or a magnesium supplement or, an iron supplement, is there a way that we can, help you ingest that in its natural packaging? Because often food comes, in a nice little package with a pretty little bow that's going to help you absorb that even better. You're going to be able to uptake even more of those nutrients than if you had been supplementing your diet. So when I'm talking with clients about protein, I'm normally less concerned about the quantity of protein that they're getting and more concerned about the quality of protein that they're getting. And that's because the purpose of us eating proteins is they're made up of amino acids. And these are like building blocks that our body can use to make things that it needs to do, different things like repairing muscles or building cells or, supporting our immune system. Like all of these need a different arrangement of different amino acids. And so, while we're looking at, what is going into your diet, I'm going to be looking for two things. So first of all, our body can make some amino acids on its own by pulling things together. It can sort of recreate whatever it needs. And these are called non-essential amino acids. Then there's a second group of amino acids which we cannot make on our own. We have to eat these from our diet. Like they can't be generated from anything inside our body. We don't have the capacity to do that. And so you have to physically ingest them in order for our body to have some of these building blocks. And these are called essential amino acids. So when we're looking at things like the quality of proteins, so we have like animal-based proteins, we have plant-based proteins, there aren't equal amounts of these amino acids in sort of all of these different sources that we're looking at. So for animal-based proteins, for example, these are called complete proteins because they have the entire amino acid profile in a level that is useful to our bodies. And so we have some protein sources where they might have certain amino acids, but it's not enough that it's actually useful to our bodies. At least they don't have the whole profile of amino acids that we would need to sort of bolster the ones that we can make on our own. So animal proteins are considered a complete protein. We also have plant-based proteins, which are things like tofu, tempeh, quinoa. Like these are also complete proteins where they have that whole profile of, those essential amino acids that we're not making on our own. So we have some plant-based, some animal-based proteins where we are getting that full panel of amino acids that we need to, build those little spaceships in our body. Then there are things that are incomplete proteins. And we find a lot of these things in plant-based proteins. And so people who are following, a plant-based or a vegan diet need to be really intentional to make sure that they're getting a variety of plant-based proteins in their diet. So if you have a favorite kind of protein and it's not a complete protein, you really want to make sure that you're adding different kinds of plant-based proteins throughout the day. So there used to be a concept called complementary proteins, and this was that we would eat proteins, that were maybe missing one or two essential amino acids, and we would pair it with something that had those complementary amino acids. And the idea was, now I'm ingesting enough of these things that I'm going to get a complete profile. My body's going to have whatever it needs to, do the magic inside of our bodies. And that idea has been retired. So now the general consensus is if you're eating a variety of plant-based proteins through the day, you're more than likely filling up that panel. And again, if you're not sure, you can definitely contact a dietitian or a nutritionist or a health coach like me, and we can help you assess what is happening in your diet and make sure that you really are getting all of those essential amino acids so your body can kind of do the things that it needs to do. So one more quick thing before we go, you can absolutely eat too much protein. And one of the symptoms of sort of over-proteining yourself is constipation. And so if you're suffering from constipation, you've got kind of mixed symptoms happening. You've tried diet changes, you've tried movement, you've tried adding more water, like you've done all the things, and things really aren't budging for you. One of the things that I would really recommend looking at is your protein intake and if it's higher than average. So like we talked about at the beginning of the video, the average person only needs 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. And for the average adult, that's about 50 grams. And so if you run your average diet through like MyFitnessPal or through your healthcare team and it comes out much higher than that, that might be something that you want to look at. Another thing that is important to know about a diet that is overly high in protein is that it can actually cause issues with your kidneys. It can cause issues with other organs. And so like we really want to make sure that we're staying within the we're staying within the dietary guidelines for the recommended amount of protein, because like not enough can cause, problems with our amino acids. We can't build the things we need to do. We can't repair our muscles. We can't, support our immune system. But then there's a whole other side of the spectrum where a whole other set of issues come into play. And so we really do want to find that happy balance for our bodies. And if you find that something is not working for you, this is definitely an area that I would want to look into further. So that's it for today. If you want to learn more about IBS, you want to learn more about sort of how diet impacts your body, you want to learn more about FODMAPs and sort of the mechanics of how that is helpful for you, I would definitely recommend hopping into my newsletter. I'm going to pop the link for you below. It's totally free to join. You're going to get a ton of information. We have a blast in there. You get an invite to my private Facebook group. Like, you're going to have a good time. So I'm going to drop the link for that below, and I hope to see you in there. But before you go, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You are going to get a ton more information on IBS, FODMAPs, and really how to make your body feel like home. I'll see you in my next video.